Welcome. This presentation is offered to inform the public about a planned removal action of metals-contaminated wetland sediment at Site 61A, Gambo Creek Ash Dump at Naval Support Facility, NSF, Dahlgren, located in Dahlgren, Virginia, as part of the Navy's Environmental Restoration Program. The Navy has published an engineering evaluation/cost analysis called an ECA document that outlines the history of the site and what action has been chosen to address contamination found in the wetland sediment at the site. This presentation summarizes the ECA and outlines ways the public can obtain additional information and provide comment. My name is Alex Scott. I am the Navy Remedial Project Manager. I work at NAVFAC, Washington, and I am the primary point of contact for the Navy's Environmental Restoration Program at NSF Dahlgren. First, let's review NSF Dahlgren's Environmental Restoration Program. In 1995, the Dahlgren Installation Restoration Team was formed to provide an efficient means to address environmental cleanup at NSF Dahlgren. The restoration team consists of the lead agency, the Navy, with assistance and input from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, and the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality. The restoration team meets regularly to prioritize, discuss, and implement cleanup activities at NSF Dahlgren. Community involvement is an important piece of the restoration program. Public review and comment are requested on all ECA documents and are typically supported with an in-person meeting. However, due to the ongoing restrictions of public gatherings associated with the COVID-19 outbreak, the Navy is inviting the public's participation via this virtual public meeting in place of an in-person meeting. This virtual public meeting will provide the same information and opportunity for public involvement in the form of questions and/or comments as an in-person meeting. First, let's review the objectives of this virtual public meeting. First, we'll review Site 61A characteristics and history. Then, we'll present the results of the ECA and describe the preferred removal alternative. Finally, we'll provide contact information where additional information can be accessed and where questions and comments can be submitted. NSF Dahlgren is on the western shore of the Potomac River in King George County, Virginia, approximately 25 miles east of Fredericksburg and 40 miles south of Washington, D.C. NSF Dahlgren was established in 1918 and currently supports research and development operations. Site 61A, Gambo Creek Ash Dump, is located north of the Upper Machoda Creek and west of the Potomac River. Site 61A is comprised of several debris disposal areas along a steep embankment rising from Gambo Creek. Site 61A has been investigated as part of the restoration program since 1997. Soil, groundwater, surface water, and sediment have been sampled. Waste, debris, and ash in several disposal areas, called visible debris areas, are the principal sources of contamination. This ECA focuses on the area known as Visible Debris Area 1. Site 61A is inactive and anticipated to remain unused in the future. There are no known areas of archaeological or historic importance at Site 61A, and there are no known endangered or threatened species using Site 61A. In 2012, a pilot study was completed to determine the types of material at the site and to evaluate different options to remove the waste in the disposal areas. Soil and debris were excavated, sorted, and stockpiled from these debris areas. Soil sampled after the excavation showed sediment with metals contamination, specifically copper, lead, and zinc, remained in the wetland. A geotextile liner was left in place over the metals contaminated wetland sediment as a marker for future work. Additional studies show that soils on-site and surface water and sediment in the surrounding off-site Gambo Creek are already at acceptable levels. If you look at the first photo, you can see the liner left in place. an excavator is placing soil over it. The excavator bucket gives a good sense of scale. In the second photo, you can see how Site 61A sits high over Gambo Creek and the area where the debris and soil was removed from the embankment. Here is what Site 61A looked like during a site visit in 2018. You can see that the area has revegetated with wetland grasses along Gambo Creek. Although the debris and soils have been removed, concentrations of metals contamination remain in wetland sediment at levels that may pose risk to aquatic animals. A wetland delineation and additional studies have confirmed the size and shape of the impacted area. The restoration team is in agreement and has recommended that a removal action is to be completed at Site 61A that will address the remaining metals contaminated wetland sediment under and around the geotextile liner. So, what is a removal action? A removal action is a response implemented to address releases or threaten releases, typically to remove or reduce the spread of contamination. And the purpose is to protect human health and the environment. There are two kinds of removal actions: time-critical removal actions, which are performed immediately to address an imminent threat to human health or the environment, such as removing corroded or leaking drums, and non-time-critical removal actions, which can be delayed for 6 months or more without a significant additional harm to human health and the environment. This removal action is of the non-time critical type. An ECA is a document supporting the removal action. It examines the alternatives and documents the recommended action. Let's review what the ECA document includes. The ECA defines the removal objective. For Site 61A, the removal objective is to remove risks to ecological receptors from the chemicals of concern, copper, lead, and zinc, in wetland sediment. The ECA also documents the cleanup levels for the chemicals of concern. The footprint of wetland sediment that will be removed includes sediments containing concentrations above these cleanup levels. This area has already been established with pre-removal characterization sampling. The ECA evaluates various alternatives considered to meet the objective. The ECA evaluated 2 alternatives against 3 criteria. These alternatives were no action, which serves as a baseline if we did nothing, and excavation and removal of wetland sediment followed by site restoration. The criteria evaluated were effectiveness, how effective will the alternative be in meeting the objective, implementability, which is how easy and feasible the action is, and cost, which is estimated to consider how much the various alternatives cost both now and over time. So, the recommended alternative for Site 61A wetland sediment is Alternative 2, excavation and removal of wetland sediment followed by site restoration. This alternative can achieve the objective for Site 61A with great certainty of success, and it complies with the identified applicable or relevant and appropriate requirements, known as ARARs. The implementation of this alternative is straightforward and easily achievable, both technically and administratively. A detailed cost estimate, which included a sustainability analysis, calculated an estimated cost between $113,000 and $243,000 for Alternative 2. The no action alternative was not chosen. Even though it is free and easy, it does not meet the objective. Let's review the elements of the proposed removal action. The purple shading on this figure shows the location of the geotextile liner. The blue line shows the removal footprint. You can see it includes the area under and around the liner. The size of the removal area is approximately 1,700 square feet, or 0.04 acres. The shape of this blue line was created using the results of sediment samples collected. and those sample locations are shown on the figure as well. The wetland sediment inside the blue line will be excavated to a depth of 2 feet. This will remove approximately 125 cubic yards of sediment. The excavated material will be transported and disposed of at an off-site permitted facility. The wetland will be restored by backfilling the areas with clean fill and topsoil, followed by reseeding. The removal action will be started once the ECA is approved and the project is funded. It is expected to take about 4 weeks to complete once field work has started. The Navy invites the public to review and provide feedback on the proposed removal action through the following opportunities: reading the ECA and other supporting restoration program documents, which are available on the NSF Dahlgren public website. You can also find links to these on the NSF Dahlgren webpage and Facebook page, or by emailing or calling me. Providing comments or asking questions about the plan removal action by sending email to me or the Public Affairs Office. All feedback must be emailed or postmarked by August 14th, 2020. The Navy will respond to all comments received by that date and will document the responses in a second document called the Action Memorandum. That document will also be available on the public website. This concludes the virtual public meeting for NSF Dahlgren Site 61A ECA. Thank you for your participation and involvement in the Navy's Environmental Restoration Program. We welcome your comments and questions and appreciate your time.